Hello, friends. I'm going to want to talk to you about two things. Number one, about Nova Nordisk. So I'll give you my opinion on that. And I'll also talk a little bit about the next Palantir, the survey that I did earlier on the WhatsApp group. So I'll talk about both of those today to kind of give you my opinion. But before I begin, as usual, I'm not an investment advisor. I don't tell you what to buy, what to sell, anything like that. I just run a nice little coaching program where I teach people how to think about finance, economics, business, how to value things, and how to look at the psychology, how to look beyond just the PE ratio or just the narrative that we might hear in the news or elsewhere. So that's what we talk about in coaching program. So far, very successful. So if you would like to learn more about that, certainly reach out to me. But let's come down to next Palantir first, and then we'll talk about Nova Nordisk. Okay, number one, I want to advise everybody in our group is not to rely too much on the group. That's really a bad thing to do. Relying on positive comments and that is helping you build conviction around a stock is not really a good idea. So if you're doing that, I would request you to please stop that. If you hear some positive news, see, and I'll tell you why. What happens is our personal biases kick in. Let's say, for example, we don't like something, and somebody says something positive about that, we ignore it. Like we don't even register it. And then if we like something and somebody else says something positive about it, we automatically start paying attention to it. That's how the psychology works in general. So all you're doing is really paying attention to stuff that you already know or you already like. So if you see something in the group, maybe you own a company and somebody else is making a comment around that, go verify the facts. Go online, go onto the company website and go to the investor relationships page and verify the facts, whether those facts are correct or not, and build your conviction that way. You should use the group as the source of information and nothing more than that. You get that information, but don't trust that information. Don't trust me. Don't trust anybody else in the group. Seriously, if you're, if I'm buying something and I may say, hey, you know what, I purchased something, you're buying because I bought it, I think that's a mistake. And same thing if you're doing that because somebody else did it or selling at the same point. What you want to do is take that information and then go verify the facts on the investor relationship page of that particular company and ask yourself, what if this information is wrong? So what happens is somebody says something about, let's just say Palantir. I would say your immediate response should be, oh, this most likely it's wrong. And now prove yourself that that is correct by double checking it. If you build that kind of mentality, I think you'll start to arrive at a little bit of a better decision. Now, I'm going to give you another pointer in here. Let's say you see somebody talk about a particular company. Oftentimes what you're going to hear is, I bought a company at X price X many years ago, and that's it. Okay. I don't remember ever somebody says, I bought this company for this price, it went down to this price, and I lost so much money on it. People don't talk about that. And when people don't talk about that, it becomes very difficult for you to really judge what's really happening behind the curtain. So that's why I say, because you don't know the other side, the best approach is to be a little bit more prudent. That's number one. That's about the group. Second thing, Palantir is born in an area or a time where it has very unique advantages. Okay, because for example, many of you guys are programmers for a long time. You have expertise in a lot of different technologies, but you have no idea, how to build a product that is competitive to Palantir. And that's why there's almost no competition to Palantir, because it's such a new field per se that people are not used to it. And that's why the Palantir actually has a moat. So finding another company like that is not that easy. It's very difficult. And like Manish Bhai said on the group, right? He's been investing for 30 years. He has never seen something like that because it's not normal. Now, having that said, there are tons of companies out there that are growing at 20%, 30%, 40%, but what's happening in the world is more focused on finding these companies that can grow 100%, 200%. For example, I'm going to talk a little bit about Nova Nordisk, but for example, Nova Nordisk at one point was trading at a PE of 50. Today, I think, I didn't check today, but my guess is probably trading at 12, 13, maybe 14, 15 at the most, right? So it went from that 50 PE down to 13, 14 PE. How many of your companies in your portfolio are trading at PE of 40 or more, let's just say. Okay, and I say this because when the market went down right before that, I looked at my portfolio, and I shared that with you guys earlier. I looked at my portfolio and said, okay, which companies are overvalued, and I trimmed them. And and after I trimmed them, obviously the market went down. Those stocks crashed by almost 30-40%. Obviously, I was saved. But today I look at the same company that I thought the PE was high at 25. The PE today is 45. So it's just how ridiculous the market is. Right now, people are willing to just pay whatever price because they believe that market only goes up in one direction. And people will be surprised because market is really good at humbling us sooner or later. And a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money. So we got to stay grounded, and we want to go back to our basic fundamentals and take a look at what is overvalued, what is undervalued. If I were to ask you, for example, right now, what is the PE of your portfolio? Would you even know answer to that? If I were to ask you what kind of EPS your portfolio will generate this year or next year or the year after that, would you know answer to that question? Those are the things you want to really focus on, right? The real numbers. And if they're growing, why are they growing? And if they're going down, why are they going down? If you stick with the basics, most likely you're going to be able to pick good companies, build a good portfolio, and have a long-term success. Chasing after every new shining star, we are going to end up making a lot of mistakes. Okay. Now let's get back down to Nova Nordisk. So what do I think about Nova Nordisk? So Nova Nordisk is struggling with three major problems right now. Number one is management. How do I know that? Well, I know that because the problems with Nova Nordisk are Nova Nordisk problems. Those problems are not the problems of the entire industry. It's not like every single company in that weight loss arena is losing money. Some of those companies you guys mentioned on the WhatsApp group as well. But for example, I personally own HIMS. I own HIMS for a long time, and they're doing just fine. So that's number one. So there's an execution problem with the company. So in order to solve that, I think they're probably going to need a new CEO, which they're about to have tomorrow. So hopefully he will come up with a new direction and fix those things. Second problem they're having is with their partnerships, right? I think that's going to be a hard one to fix. I don't think kind of like what President Trump is right now doing with a lot of countries. We might be able to do a trade with them, but building trust takes a long time, and you can break that trust, in matter of days in case of President Trump. Now, a lot of countries, for example, are saying, look, Trump is not the US and US is not the Trump. It's just a temporary problem. Once he gets what he wants, he gets out of the way, we move on, and then we can deal with the other problems later on. Okay? That's how other countries are looking at. But the question is, can other businesses that are doing business with Nova Nordisk will have the same mentality, or would they look at things a little bit differently? So that's another question. So would the new CEO would be able to approach all the partners involved with empathy, understanding their problems, understanding, how can he work with them and build upon that relationship? I think that can take some time. I don't think companies just going to blindly forget everything that has been done to them. Nova Nordisk had recently sued a lot of companies out there. So that kind of reputation takes some time to fix. So that's a second problem. Okay. Third problem is regulatory environment right now. If you take a look at the United States actually wants to lower drug prices. So these companies who are coming with an attitude of, we want to charge premium, I don't think they're going to really have a whole lot of luck right now. I don't think the US policies are actually going to support those kind of companies. So those are the three major issues I see with the company right now. And if they're able to get around them, then they can start to move ahead. Now, on the positive note, stock is cheap. It used to trade at, like I said, a PE of 45, 50. Now it's trading at PE of 12, 13. So stock is cheap comparatively, but it's cheap because the company is saying, hey, look, we're not able to grow. We're going to grow maybe at 10%, 12%. So the growth guidance is very, very slow. Part of me says, the new CEO, I mean, obviously it's not like new CEO just kind of started tomorrow. I'm pretty sure the conversation has been going on for a while. And the company probably gave a lower end of the guidance because they want to look like the new CEO is turning things around. They want to give him a head start. So they set the goalpost a little bit closer. So there is that possibility out there. And this another thing to look at is, what other stuff you have in healthcare in your portfolio. For example, I already own HIMSS. So do I really want to buy Nova Nordisk on top of that? If the relationship between Nova Nordisk and HIMSS, for example, were to get resolved tomorrow, okay, once the new CEO comes in, HIMSS will jump back to like $70 like overnight, So I will benefit from that anyways. So do I really need to, take my chances with Nova Nordisk? So that's another thing I'll think about. And then, but do I really need to take on the risk at all? There's just so many other opportunities in so many other areas where I don't have to deal with all that stuff. So I think you kind of have to look at that risk reward ratio for yourself. If the only question here is that is the stock price is reasonable, then yeah, the price is very reasonable. But the part of the it's reasonable because the market is not expecting any growth from it. So if they don't have a growth, if they're not able to solve those underlying problems, then stock going to be sideways for a long time. So those are the problems. I mean, again, I'm more positive than most. So I will assume that the new CEO is going to fix the problems. Growth will be back on track and stock will be trading at 2022 PE in no time. Okay. But do I want to take that risk? Probably not, because of two reasons. Number one, I already own HIMSS. And number two, even if I wanted to take a risk, I'll probably just buy an option on it. But I will probably wait. I'll wait. Either the stock drops more, like I'm like, oh my God, I got to feel that this is just too cheap to ignore. Like they're just throwing it away kind of thing. So that's one condition. Or number two, I see the sign of improvement. I hear from the new CEO that he has a plan in place to turn the company around. And this is how he's going to do it. And I believe that plan is going to work. I believe that there's a turnaround in progress. In that case, I'll probably go in. So to me, the best play here is to do some sort of option spread at this point. But when I do it, I don't know, maybe soon, but I have to have some signal that something is about to change with the company. So I hope that helps with those two things. And if you're interested in the coaching program, then certainly reach out to me and I'll be happy to share more details. But I mean, so far it's awesome. I'm super excited. I'm going to be launching it at the Wealth Summit. Looking forward to that event. By the way, that's going to happen on, I think, November 16th this year on Sunday. So right before Thanksgiving. So please, if you haven't really booked your tickets, then I will suggest you go book the tickets now. If you use my discount code, which is Deepak, DEEPAK 50, Deepak 50, if you use that, you get 50% off on that ticket right now. All right. So I'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye.